What is a journey? It is not just traveling from one place to another. It is the things we learn, the experiences we have, the struggles we face, and how we develop as individuals. My journey through chronic kidney disease and end-stage renal failure encompasses all of the above. This is my story, from diagnosis to transplant. So let's get in position. As the late, great Dr. Uma Kumar used to tell me, that as I age, per se, the disease, FSGS, would worsen and dialysis was inevitable. So we're here now. We're at the inevitable. So it's still 2018, the latter part of 2018. And as far as my kidney functions, I have now entered into end-stage renal failure. So it's dialysis time. And unknown to me, I only thought that there was one type of dialysis, which was hemodialysis. And also at this time, my wife and the rest of my family, some of my in-laws, we are actually caregivers to my father-in-law. And he's currently on dialysis at that time. And so I'm sort of familiar with it, watching him, because at times I would have to take him to his treatments. He was on 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And I would have to take him to his dialysis treatments and also pick him up once he was done. And I would also notice how he was feeling, very fatigued, hungry, and very fatigued. Anyway, it was time for me to start dialysis, and I only known of the hemo. Where they stick you and you have access, and all that other stuff. But I didn't know that there were other types. And so when my nephrologist, we were talking and discussing the different types of dialysis, they said that you could do at-home dialysis. And I was kind of frightened because, again, all I knew about was the hemo and, getting stuck with needles. And that's how it was described to me. And also I knew about my father-in-law. But he said, no, there's another type that doesn't involve blood, because hemo means blood. So, or hemoglobin, things like that. So he said it doesn't involve blood. And I was like, okay, what type is that? And so they showed me it was called peritoneal dialysis, where they use a fluid and it's inserted in your peritoneal cavity, which is down below your abdomen area. And there's a small catheter placed in your abdomen area, and there's this fluid. It's sort of like saline, but not quite like saline, but it has a solution in it that once it enters into your peritoneal cavity, it actually pulls all the toxins out. So it's a form of dialysis, and they say you can do it at home at your leisure. And there's a machine, it's called a cycler machine. You can do it at home. You'll get trained on it, and also you can travel with it. And I was like, wow, you can actually travel with it. Comes with its own little carrying case. The machine, it actually looks like if you have a all-in-one printer where you scan and also fax, it's sort of like that size, so to speak. And it sits on a little table, and they were preaching that it's convenient. That's what they were preaching, that it was very convenient for those who are still working. And at that time, I was still working. And so I was working from home, actually. And so I had a flexible schedule, which was great. And so I was like, yo, this might work for me. This might work for me. And plus you could travel with it as well. Okay, cool. Bet, let's do it. And so we signed up for that, met with the surgeon who was actually going to insert my catheter. When we met, we had a discussion and he was kind of surprised. He said, Craig, you know, you and I are the same age, and looking at you, you know, you look really healthy, like a healthy guy, and I know you can get through this. He said, now, Craig, listen, these catheters are prone to get infections, and it's called peritonitis. He said, that's something you do not want. He said, please, whatever you do, protect it as your life depend upon it. I said, well, Doc, it does. He said, okay, so you get what I mean. And I was like, okay. He said, but please, whatever you do, please protect it with your life. I said, okay, all right, okay. So let's do it, because it was time. With peritoneal, it became too cumbersome for me. My garage was taken over with all these boxes, because you had to actually order these bags. Mind you, you're doing this every single night. Unlike hemo, it's like 3 days a week. But with peritoneal, you're doing it every day, every night. And so you're hooked up to a machine, you got these wires hooked up to you at night, and it really became kind of, you know, cumbersome, and it was just too much. And then I didn't like my numbers, meaning when they did blood work, you know, things were just out of whack. And trying to get it under control was crazy. It was ridiculous. And I was just having a hard time, a rough time. And it also puts you in a sort of depression type thing. It just made me feel like, you know, I was the only one in the world going through this, you know, or in my world going through this, and no one could understand what I was going through. I know it was a struggle, you know, on my wife at that particular time, just not understanding what I was going through and trying to, you know, figure it out, and so on and so forth, and trying to explain how you feel. No one really understands how you feel and what you're going through at that particular time. However, there was one instance where I was on social media and I was just scrolling through, and you know, with Facebook or Instagram, those things. I was on Facebook, I believe, and I saw one of my friends, my good friends, a high school buddy of mine, post his struggles with PD, peritoneal. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I was like, he going through this? Wait a minute, hold on. Wow. And I gave him a shout. You know, I hit him up, I messaged him. I was like, yo, what's up, man? My good buddy Sean Justice. And I was like, yo, bro, you on dialysis? He was like, yeah, man, I'm on this, you know, cycle or whatever. And it's getting on my nerves and it's driving me crazy. I was like, yo, bro, me too. And then it was like, cause I hadn't spoken to Sean in years. And it was like, we just picked up where we left off. However, we was on, you know, we we was on the same level because he understood and I understood, and so it was just great. It was a godsend, I guess, for the both of us. I really thank God for sending him, or actually me seeing his post that day. And I guess he needed me as much as I needed him, for sure, during that time. Because when I was not satisfied, I would share it with him. Of course, I shared with my wife. I was not satisfied with peritoneal dialysis. And not to mention, I don't know how it happened. However, I experienced or contracted a leak. Now, I never contracted peritonitis, thank God, because, even the nurses used to say, you do not, Mr. Merrick, you do not want peritonitis, please. Because some people have to have that catheter taken out, replaced, and so on and so forth, and it's very, very painful. However, in my peritoneal cavity, where the fluid went in, and then you walk around with all this fluid in that cavity, and you just feel bloated all day. I hated that feeling. I hated it. I couldn't stand it. So I developed a small leak in my peritoneal cavity. So just imagine, okay, you have this fluid right here in your abdomen, and it's heavy. And gravity works, right? Gravity does what gravity does. It's pulling. It's pulling. So I developed a leak in my peritoneal cavity, and fluid is gonna find a way to go somewhere. And hate to gross you out, but just imagine how I felt where that fluid went. I'm gonna let you think about that for a minute. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's where it went. It went there. And you talking about the scariest feeling, and also the look. Scary. And all the doctor could say is, okay, stop doing it for a minute. It will go away after a while. But we may have to do some surgery to repair. I'm like, nah, I'm not doing no surgeries, man. That's, no. And I talked to my buddy Sean, and Sean is like, wow. He said, well, Craig, listen, I had enough with PD myself. I switched over to hemodialysis. I said, you did? Really? He said, yeah, I had to do it. That was just taking up all of my day, half of his day. He was on it 12, 13 hours on the cycler. That's crazy. You can't move, you can't go nowhere. That's crazy. So he said, Craig, I don't know about you, but you might want to switch. He said, I know everybody's different, but you might want to go over to hemo. He said, I feel a lot better, and it's just 3 days a week. I may be on that dialysis machine for maybe 4 hours on those three days out of the week, and then I'm done. Then I got 2 days, and then the weekend, I'm good. He said his numbers came out great. I said, you know what, man? I'm going to have to try it. I'm going to have to do it. I'm going to have to go over. It was the end of 2018. I didn't even get through all of 2018. And so I went over to hemo. It was January 2019. I started my first, because I had to go right away because the kidneys had failed. And my very first treatment, I remember my very first treatment. I was on the machine for four hours. Yeah. And so time goes on. I'm into my routine, and I was very disciplined there. And I know not everyone is like me or disciplined, which I couldn't understand because your life depended on it. But it was just so depressing. You know, you sit next to an individual and they sitting over there eating Cheetos. You know, they done went to the gas station, convenience store before they coming into dialysis. Are you kidding me, man? Are you serious? They drinking fruit punch filled with sugar. They already a diabetic. I'm like, yo, man, just go outside or go on the roof and jump. Cause what are you doing? What are you doing? And it was just depressing. And because when the doctors would come around, he would come to me, Mr. Merritt, I see your numbers and blah, blah, blah. He would start saying the numbers and I would finish his sentence because I knew it. I said, yeah, I saw that, but I'll take care of it. It'll be done. He said, Mr. Merritt, always, man, you know what to do. I'll see you later. He would be with me, talking with me for at least, 2 to 3 minutes, and he would move on. Because I had to make sure, folks, I did what I was supposed to do. Number one, I'm not feeling that great on this machine. So I really don't feel like talking to you right now. Not that I don't like you, but right now I'm really trying to sleep or whatever. So I made it in a point. Yo, Craig, do what you're supposed to do, man. You know when they're gonna take blood. The week before, do what you're supposed to do. Make sure the numbers come out right so they don't have to spend no time with you trying to tell you, don't do this, that. Cool, bet. That's how I treated it. So when they came, Mr. Merritt, you need anything from us? I was like, nah, I'm good. They would move on. But it's not like you're ear hustling, but you can hear the foolishness over here. And it's like they spend 15 minutes talking to this guy about, yo, you gotta get your phosphorus down. You gotta, blah, blah, what are you eating? And they see on there, he got cookies, Debbie's, cakes and Cheetos, chili cheese fry. It was depressing. And in there, you try to talk to people and they really don't want your help. I'm not trying to turn you into me, but hey, man, we in here. I'm in here like you in here. Dude, what are you doing? Like, you try to help people out and say, man, what, you all right over there? You okay? Because you right here. He right here. You all right over there, man? You good? Blah, 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 blah. I remember one day I tried to make a bet with him, right? Because I could talk to him however I want to talk to him. The doctors and nurses, they can only, they got to keep it professional. So, and I know they were tired. They sound like a broken record every time they came to talk to him. And I'm like, look, man, check this out. I make a bet with you. How about that? Let's make it fun. The only thing that could happen is you could get better. How about that? So, I'm like, yo, man, if you get your numbers down, I'll give you 3 months. If you get your numbers down, I make a bet with you. I'll give you $50. He was like, bet. We shook hands and everything. 3 months came and went, he's still at the same thing. Man, it's like, yo, you try to help people, but you first got to want to help yourself. Then, after a while, this dialysis thing, it's a lot going on. Now you starting to feel certain different things in your body. Now I get this crazy feeling in my legs. It's weird and I can't keep still. It's like I'm just like this. I'm rubbing my leg all the time and they feel weird. And now I can't sleep because my legs won't leave me alone. Now I have insomnia. And what they call it is the restless leg syndrome. And I spoke to the doctor about it. However, all they want to do is give you some medications. And that was not my goal. That was not the goal, to add more medications. I'm trying to take away and minus and get rid of that, medications and stuff like that. So I'm just like, nah, I deal with it. And I'm up. I can't sleep. I'm up at night. I'm tired of watching television. I'm tired of looking at my phone. I'm up at night walking, pacing the house, just pacing back and forth, trying to tire out my legs because they're irritating me. It just irritating me. It doesn't feel like pins or needles or nothing. Now, I did feel like pins were sticking the bottom of my feet. And that was very, very painful. But this restless leg syndrome was really, really crazy. I would get maybe 2 to 3 hours of sleep at night. And when I had to go to dialysis, again, remember my chair time was at 6 a.m. So I got to be up by 5:15 or something like that, get ready and drive to the place. It wasn't around the corner, I'll tell you that much. And so it was just exhausting. It was exhausting. And the negativity, how you felt, the mood swings, and then the fatigue when you come off of the machine. It just, remember, it's snatching the blood out and pushing it back in. And that's just exhausting. You're fatigued and you're around all of these people, and then who are talking negative sometimes. And it wasn't every day. Now, you did have some individuals who had good spirits, great spirits. Thank God for some of the nurses and technicians, some of them, who were in good spirits and tried to make your day enjoyable while you were there and caring for you. And then here comes the enemy, right? You're like, well, God, why me? Why? Then all these types of things start to enter into your mind, and you enter into a dark place, and you're in depression. You don't acknowledge it as depression, that you're depressed, but you are depressed because you don't want to go to this place anymore. Meaning, when it's time, you're dreading going. Have a great weekend. You have a great weekend. No dialysis. You're good. And it's Sunday night. First of all, I'm not going to be able to sleep. I know it. I hate it when the nighttime came or when it was bedtime. I couldn't stand it. That particular hour of the day, I dreaded because I know I wouldn't get any sleep. I know that my legs would be restless. I would be tossing and turning. Then I would get out of the bed. It's 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And I'm pacing the house. I'm walking around the house. And you just like, why me? I'm sick of this. You know you need it. You know you need this treatment. You gotta have this treatment. And you hate it. You dread going, but you know you need it. So you go. And then the sticking, 2 needles, 15 gauge. I hated that part. Then every so often on the machine, you don't even know why. Your blood pressure drop. It's just dropping. It's just dropping. You sitting there in a cold sweat. And thank God I had sense enough to call out to my technician, hey, I don't feel good. Hey, I don't feel good. Then there's chaos. There's chaos in the center. Somebody done fell out. They got to call the EMS, 911. It's just all around you. And you're sick of it. You're just sick and tired. You're tired of it, man. You're just tired of it. And those dark places, when I talk about those dark places, I really mean it. Dark. To the point where it's like, yo, I might as well not even be here. Those thoughts. Those thoughts. And you say, look, man, I'm just done. I'm done with it. You're on this list, you're on that list. No, you get evaluated, you're trying to better your chances by being on different transplant lists. And even that is tiring because you got to go through the same testing over and over. They want blood here. They want blood there. They want this test there. That to, yo, can't you get it from the other facility? Yo, I just did an EKG. I just did an echocardio. I just did a scan and all this other stuff. Yo, can't you get that test? Nah, we need our own. It's like, yo, come on. And I can recall one evening, one night, where I finally was able to go to sleep. I fell asleep. However, I was tossing and turning, and this voice kept talking to me and saying, just, Craig, why is it happening to you? This shouldn't be happening to you. You didn't do nothing wrong. Just throw it all away. Just throw it all away. Give it up. Give up. Just give up. I'm telling you, I'm hearing this voice. I'm tossing and turning. I'm tossing and I'm fighting and I'm wrestling with this voice. And I heard another voice. Listen to me. I'm telling y'all, I heard another voice. Remember, the voice said, remember my word. Use my word. That's what the other voice told me. Remember my word. And I started, every scripture I knew started to rise up in me while I'm asleep. Now, started to rise up in me, and I started to repeat the ones that I knew. And I started to say, I remember this very vividly. I said, devil, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. I said, shut up, stop talking to me. I said it like that, and he kept talking to me. And I remember I sat up in the bed. It wasn't a dream. I woke up, opened my eyes, and I screamed at the top of my lungs, Get out of here. I sat straight up in my bed and I screamed at the top of my lungs. Now, mind you, my wife is laying asleep next to me. I sat up and I said, get out of here. You do not belong here. Get out. And he left. He left. And I slept like a baby for the rest of the night. That's my testimony. And I'm sticking to it. That's my story. I'm telling you. And that morning, it was an off day for me. Either it was a Tuesday or a Thursday. I got up and I know my wife was getting ready to go to work. She was getting ready to leave. And I woke up and I apologized to her. I said, I'm sorry for waking you up. She said, you didn't wake me up. I said, you didn't hear me scream last night? She was like, no. She said, no, I didn't hear anything. I said, wow. I should have called this, instead of I hate dialysis, I should have called it Dialysis, the Wilderness. That's what I should have called it, because that's what it reminded me of. And I knew from that point on, I had to stick to my faith when it came to my mind. And also, too, it wasn't just that, but I also had to seek some help. I had to seek some help. And thank God for my good friend, Dr. Laomi Bliss. I thank God for her, man. I get teary-eyed thinking about it, and I thank God for that, for her. I thank God for her and her gifts and her skill, because it was bothering me. And I did finally, at that time, I had to discuss with tell her what I was going through, and she had suggested, why don't you talk to Dr. Bliss? I said, you know what? I'm gonna do that. I gotta do that. So if you're watching this and you have kidney disease, and if you're on dialysis and you've been to those dark places, I'm telling you, I've experienced it. I'm a witness. Listen, if you're a person of faith, even if you're not, listen, get you some help. Go talk to a professional. Call Medicare, Medicaid, whatever you got, and ask them that you want to see someone to talk to them about your situation, because you need it. It's very helpful. And then after that, of course, I still didn't like dialysis. I still hated it. After I got over that, because it was so dark, I still had questions. Not just why me. It wasn't why me anymore. It was still the fact of, will I be on this for the rest of my life? Will I have to endure dialysis for the rest of my life? In between those times, or during those times, I would say, good things were happening in my life. My son got married, which was very exciting. Being part of that, welcoming my daughter-in-law, to the family. Just watching him and being with him before, helping him get dressed, that was really special to me. And I get choked up a little bit because that was a very special moment, and I really enjoyed that. Seeing him get married, because I never foreseen it, but just very proud of him. Watching my daughter graduate from college, that was exciting. And then after that, sitting there in dialysis, wondering, will I become or ever become a grandparent? Will I ever become a grandparent? Will I get to see my grandchildren? Because there's always hopes. There's always hopes. Once, my son got married, it was like, okay. And, talking to them, they do want children, but I'm sitting here with 2 big needles in my arm, and will I ever get a kidney? And will I get to see my children's children? What would he or she look like? Will I have enough strength to run around with them? Will I be able to babysit? I think about those things while I'm sitting in that chair. While I'm sitting in that chair, your mind tends to wander. One day, seeing and holding my grandchild, one day was my goal. Now, there were other things that was going on at the same time in this, while on dialysis per se. My particular doctor at the time, Dr. Kumar, he gets transferred to another center. And so this other nephrologist comes in, and not to say that she wasn't there the whole time, because it's not just him. They usually have maybe 2 nephrologists working hand in hand and coming around, making their rounds with patients. So this particular doctor wasn't like she was brand new, but she had been there. And now we fast forward, it's 2023. And she's now the lead nephrologist at this particular place. And it's not like she hadn't seen me before. And okay, she comes to me. She wants to treat me or do something particularly different. Right? Here we go again, right? With another doctor doing something else. If you hadn't seen episode 2, Finding Dr. Kumar, go and watch that and you'll know what I'm talking about, right? So I already got that stigma in the back of my mind, right? So now we got this next doctor who's in charge of the center, and you could sense they the head honcho now, right? They the head honcho, and I get to do things how I want to do it. You can sense it. And so it's not like you hadn't seen me, and it's not like you hadn't seen the records or the history. So now all of a sudden you want to put me, here we go with medicines again. Now you want to put me on something else because you don't like what you see. That's cool, fine, right? You the doc, Bet. But this is my body, my temple. I know what it can stand, what it can do. I know what it cannot do. You know overall the anatomy of the body and what it does. But this, I've been living with it longer than you've known me or you've been here. So I know, right? And I know what I'm going to tolerate. And last time I didn't listen. This time I'm listening. I mean, I'm listening. You hear me? I'm listening. I'm watching. I can read lips now. I can, I can sense my spidey senses. Whoop, is going off. And I'm like, all right, I hear you. I hear you. So it's like, okay, I want to put you on this. So before I immediately say no, it's like, well, doc, is there something else I could do? Can I change my diet? Can, I work out a little bit more? Can I walk more? What could I do naturally and physically to do this? And then it's like, you can't do nothing. I don't particularly believe that. And then she goes into, it had to deal with my calcium and my phosphorus, because those two kind of go, they not kind of, but they do go hand in hand. My calcium was pretty high, which is not good, which could cause bone density that can decrease. And that happens anyway. As we age, we lose bone density anyway. And she talks about that. And I said, okay, there's a test, because I remember in the past, they did this test on me. And I said, there's a test we could take or do to see where my bone density is, isn't there? And I said, I forget the name of the test. And she said that it's called a DEXA scan. I said, that's right. I said, why we can't do a DEXA scan to see where I am? She said, well, your insurance probably won't pay for it. I said, I was about to go left on her, but I said, you know what, let me worry about what it will pay for and how much it costs. I said, don't worry about that. Why don't I just get the DEXA scan? We look at that. See where if you're concerned with my bone density, because you want to put me on this particular medication that you feel as though will help my calcium or get it down or get it under control, why don't we look at that? Why don't we test that? Again, her approach just wasn't sitting well with me. It just wasn't. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get the DEXA scan. I'm gonna do that. I'll let you know when I get it done, and they'll get it to you. And so I said, but right now I don't want to take that. Let's take some. I said, my goal, doc, is to take as less medications as I possibly can. I said, that's my goal. I said, I'm not trying to be difficult. I said, but that's my goal. Let's do some other things first and then come back and take a look at it, because this is your first time just wanting to do something. And so we left with that agreement. So I thought, and so I go and come to find out my insurance paid for it, everything. I was covered, thank God. Because I know not a lot of people have that type of thing, So when she comes back around the next month or later on that month, I said, well, doc, I got the DEXA scan. Because she's like, I still want to put you on this medication. I said, well, we talked about it. And you mentioned that, okay, cool, the DEXA scan, I got it done. We're waiting for the results. And then she had the nerve enough to say, well, that's something you wanted to do. I knew what it was then. And I told her, I said, you know what, doc? I called her name. I won't say her name. I said, look, listen. I said, you know what? I said, this conversation is over. You are really, making me upset right now. So I'm done. I'm not really this conversation is over. I said, I am terminating this conversation right now So please, thank you very much. Whatever. You can go see the next person. I'm done. I'm done. Because I'm like, I thought we left, said we was going to do that and look at those things. So the next thing I know, she's saying that I yelled at her, or I'm very condescending, or whatever, and this, that, and the third. Next thing you know, we got to have a meeting and all this other stuff and whatnot. And man, whatever. I wasn't taking that medicine. I know that much. I wasn't taking it. And this is what I'm trying to tell and get across to individuals who are in situations like mine or like how I was. You have to be your own advocate. You definitely have to be your own advocate when it comes to stuff like this. You got to ask questions. Why you want to put me on that? And leading up to it wasn't like she did not know me. So all of a sudden now, because you're the lead doctor this year, now you want to start doing and making changes and all of that. When I started doing research on that medication and asking questions about it, and people were telling me, well, this is a side effect, that's a side effect, you could possibly have a stroke. I was like, no, definitely not. We're not doing that. And not to mention, my kidneys were so bad at the time. One of them, my right kidney, had a little, it was a spot that they saw on the scan, because they did a scan of it when I went to go get evaluated somewhere at another transplant facility in Charlotte, North Carolina. They saw that little it was like a little cyst, like, right? And it wasn't that large, but it concerned them. And when your kidneys are damaged like mine's were, they tend to form these pockets of liquids, right? These bumps and pockets around them, and they could potentially be cancerous. And so that was pretty much holding up me getting a transplant or getting on that particular list, and they wanted to look at it again. So 6 months went by. We brought the tests back here to Atlanta, Emory University Hospital, where I was listed as well. They saw it, and we wanted to wait another 6 months, do another scan. If it decreased, good. If it increased, then we have to do something about that as well. So there was a urologist there, Dr. Ogan, who was really, really great doctor. He took a look at it. He said, Craig, it increased by point, blah, 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 not much. However, it is holding up your chances of receiving a kidney transplant. He said, we got to remove it. I said, okay, we got to remove it. I prayed about it. It felt good in my spirit. My spirit was okay with it because it's not functioning anyway, right? So he said, we got to do a nephrectomy. That's when they remove a kidney. And we went along with that. We did the nephrectomy. Surgery went well. They said I did well. Actually, there were other of these things that were contained within the kidney, and they were cancerous. However, it was like a stage 1. He even said, Craig, it was a stage. He said, if I got to give it a stage, it was stage 0. But, being that you're trying to get a kidney transplant, we don't want it to form into anything else. So that's why we had to remove it. We got all of it. There's no need for chemo or other treatment. You're good to go. I praise God. Thank you, God, because it doesn't happen like that for everyone. I know that. So I was very, very thankful and grateful. And check this out. I go back to dialysis. They take blood. Those levels I was telling you guys about, It came down. So that kidney was actually compromising those levels. And there was no need for medication at all. At all. This is what I'm saying, man. This is what I'm saying. This is why I'm so passionate about spreading my story and sharing my story with you all. Because, you know, you don't necessarily have to have kidney disease like me. But if you got something and it don't feel right in your spirit, and you know, listen, this is not right. I don't need to do that. Or they want to put you on something that you know you don't need. Now, there's certain things that you absolutely need. Like I needed to take my blood pressure medications. I needed to take those things, right, that helped in other areas. Now, I'm not just saying just totally go against the doctors. But if we're not in agreement with the plan and how you gonna treat me, because me and you got to partner. That's how I see it. We have to partner. And I have rights. I have basic human and patient rights. If you don't get what you're looking for, hey, I want a second opinion. And if the second ain't right, get a third. I'm telling you, I absolutely hated dialysis. And I declared that, listen, I got to get out of here. I used to come home and tell my, I got to get out of there. I have to. And then when you start hearing about other people you're so used to seeing for months and for years, and when you don't see them for weeks at a time, you wonder, you ask your nurse or you ask your technician, what happened to Miss So-and-so? She passed away. Why? What happened? She didn't want to take this. They didn't want to do this. Well, what happened to the young guy who used to sit over there in the third pod, who blah, blah, blah? He just wasn't coming. You know, all of those things be around you. And it's like, I gotta get out of here. It's too much. It's too much negative. It's just too much. It's too much. I gotta get out of here. This is not good. I just gotta get out of here. I have to. I have to. And I was determined. And I just could not stand it. But I needed it. I did it. I went through it. I fought the good fight. I kept on fighting. I did what I needed to do. I did what I had to do. Did I fall off at times? Of course I did. However, I did get those numbers back to where I needed it. I knew exactly, and you got to know yourself. You have to know yourself. If you fall off, know that you can get up. You can get up and get back on track, and make sure you get back on track. Also, too, try to find you a good support group. Link up with that support group, and do something with for your mind care, which is absolutely a necessity when you're dealing with this disease and also going through dialysis as well. I know that there are other diseases. I'm not minimizing those individuals that go through that, who go through cancer, chemo, radiation, and so on and so forth. Those individuals as well. However, you definitely have to hang in there. Hang in there. And you'll definitely see a change, and try your best to stay positive. Try your best. I know it's hard. I know it's difficult. But try your best to stay positive and include your family. I know sometimes it's hard. And then there's individuals who may not be able to cope. But talking about it really helps, and getting with some of these organizations. I had belonged, or I still belong to and with the Georgia Transplant Foundation, who was a great help and continues to be a great help to me and my family. And when they have events, we go to them. We try our best to go to them and meet up with other kidney disease patients or dialysis patients, or even recently transplanted patients, just to get that extra kick and hope. Another friend of mine, a great friend of mine, and also a mentor, gave me hope. We actually had the same disease, FSGS of CKD. My brother and good friend out of Richmond, Virginia, Mr. Jay Williams, he received his kidney transplant before me, and he immediately contacted me. And he told me, Craig, I got one. And I was so elated and absolutely happy for him and rejoiced with him. And I told him, thank you so much. I texted him back. I said, thank you so much for sharing it with me. And he responded, he said, that was intentional. Me sharing it with you, Craig, so you know that there is hope. Man, I never forgot it. And I thank God for Jay, even through the years in Richmond, Virginia, being a mentor and a big brother to me. And you got to find those people. A great person, another good friend of mine told me, Dr. Good, he said, Craig, you don't choose your mentors, but your mentors choose you. And I was very grateful to know that Jay, he chose me. And so I thank God for him. And also, of course, my wife, my family, and my dream came true. And little Miss Emery Reese Merritt, our first grandchild, it came to fruition because I spoke it. And God provided and let me live long enough to see her little face. So she became my medicine. She was also my why. And I got stronger. I tell you, I kept fighting after that. I said, because I got to chase this little girl around. I have to. One day, she's not walking yet, but one day I'll be able to chase her around here, or whatever. But I'm looking forward to it. So guys, that's it for the third episode. Thanks for tuning in. And hey, listen, make sure you share this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, hit the notification button so you're notified next time we upload something new. And also, as always, get in position as it relates to your health. Peace.